probably a year or two after I came here in 2007. There was a group of students that had been engaging with the Kiva platform, and they had been starting to do, I think they came to me about would it be alright to do an event that was linked to the Kiva sort of platform, and getting some kids excited and families interested in the idea of microfinance. You know, engaging in platforms was fine, but the actual act of going to see like really well-run microfinance outfits would be very good. And so Ted Janulis and I decided to sort of put together a trip to India, which is, you know, one of the countries that's had, and a part of the world that's had microfinance that's been really sort of strongly part of even their culture in certain cities over the last 30 years. And so we went to see various, I would say, levels of microfinance. So we connected with a Riverdale alum, Ratan Tata, who talked about the development work that they were doing in microfinance in Rajasthan.
When I was on the Riverdale Country School website, which is where Swadhyay is based, and I saw like a video of the previous students who are older than I was in Swadhyay who took a trip to India to visit an MFI, a really big MFI, and they really, they made a video of all their experiences and the traveling and all the meetings, and I just remember seeing that and thinking, wow, that's really cool. This is something that's big, and I was just curious.
The earlier you learn about this, the more time you have to realize that this is a passion for you. And when you learn that something is a passion for you, what you do with your work becomes more part of like who you are. And for people who are able to like self-actualize and rise to that point and do what it is that they think is why they are here on Earth, they're extremely happy, and that benefits everyone around them. And when that is also helping people, it helps the world. And so you have more people that are happy and more people that are helping others, and that's just great for humanity.
You know, I think if you go back, let's say 20 years, the primary job of these schools was college preparation. I mean, that was basically what our job was, and we prepared kids, young people, to have the type of academic skills that could basically get them into a good college. I think that right now, and it's not a question that's new, but I think it's a question that's increasingly getting asked, is that sort of enough? That's a rather impoverished mission of the school, that all I'm doing is basically preparing people here for the next step in their academic career. And aren't we actually preparing people to go out and be citizens, to be productive members of society, to have the type of skills where they can tackle not just, let's say, a math problem, but they'd actually be able to tackle sort of ill-structured problems in society?
Well, I think high school students, first of all, can educate themselves about the world and the great income gaps and inequality that exists in the world. I think that what inspires and motivates all of us is to create a fair playing ground for everyone. And so I think high school students can learn about microfinance. They might visit programs in countries. They might support microfinance organizations, become ambassadors. I think actually that's a very good role as I think about it. If you're educated and you care, educating others, because we really are all of us are spreading what we believe and talking about what we believe. And there's nothing like a high school student talking to another high school student to make a convincing argument. You would be more convincing to your friends than I am. Oh, it's so important for young people to be involved. Young people are the future of the world. If young people don't care about the world and understand and want to make positive changes, we're sunk.
I think it can be a real eye-opening lesson to especially high school students in this country to learn that their education system is given to them, basically. Whereas other countries, then the kids are not so lucky. So they could start giving back straight away by considering the effects of microfinance and the effects on education in third world countries. I think if they want to be involved and want to get their school friends involved, they have to get the school involved, which usually means going to the head of school or the head of their particular area in school to get an advisor, somebody who can help them. Setting up a website is wonderful, but it has to be maintained, it usually costs money, so that they need to be guided.
I think that the concept of social entrepreneurship is in some ways a better way of framing it, in that it's not as much of we who are privileged giving to people who are less privileged, but more of a sense of how can you become active in a community, how can there be a mutual benefit that's established in communities. And I think that framing of things seems to me much better than sometimes the way that service has been framed in these schools.
Well, the National High School Microfinance Initiative is such a valuable resource for any student who's interested in being a part of this. They're very easy to contact and to reach out to, and it makes it seem sort of like there are more people talking about this. There was a period of time where Zawadi by Youth was kind of in this insulated little bubble of high schoolers talking about microfinance and interested in microfinance, and I think that it took until now, really, for us to penetrate that bubble and to really be able to reach out to other microfinance clubs.
A lot of learning is strangely passive. You know, you sit in a classroom, you either get presented to, you might engage in some discussion, but it's relatively, classroom learning by its nature is not necessarily always going to be reaching out to the community or placing then people in sort of like real, authentic problem-solving situations. And I think it's a big question for education. I mean, you know, the research around cognition and learning and understanding and memory is pretty clear that if you don't actually take, let's say, knowledge and apply that to a real life situation that doesn't have, you know, that doesn't have, let's say, a clear answer, that's sort of an unstructured situation, you will probably not learn something very effectively.
I think it's very important, as a teacher, that your students understand and are prepared to deal with the major social problems of the world. If they don't learn about it in high school, learning about it in high school is a wonderful moment in a young person's life. If they have an experience that means something, it can change their lives in high school. So it's a great time to introduce students to the world situation, to poverty, to its impact on half the world, and to get them involved in understanding what they can do, what role they can play. And microfinance is important because it's so clear. If you give someone a loan or you help them save, that makes a big difference in their lives. So it's an example of development that really is effective. So we want students to understand the world and its issues. We want them to become more involved, and we want them to show them an example of an intervention that's very powerful, that can be